listen.
Never in my life associated the word boring with baseball.
We know what's up.
Me? Yeah. Famous? Yeah.
And I'm like giddy over there smiling like, we're about to win this shit.
Did everyone give you crap? Give me a good host story.
I'm not picking it up.
We both love the game.
We talk about it every day.
Get on baseball.
Having some popcorn, you're fooling around your phone.
I'd have to wait in line for 3 hours.
Hang on, because it's about to be a wild ride.
All right, there's no human being I'd rather be talking to right now than Zac Gallen. It's a fact.
Baloney.
Fact.
Call him baloney.
It's a fact. It's I appreciate you taking the time before. Enjoyed the conversation. Congratulations on everything. By the way, your name came up on the Baseballs and Boring Twitter feed the other day. I don't know if you saw it.
No.
It was we had Best Dressed. So we had MLB Fitz on, and I asked him. I said, "Who is the best dressed?" And he was like, "Listen, that's a tough question, right?
Yeah.
It's a lot to pick from. I think he doesn't want to offend it. I think at spur of the moment he picked Bryce Harper, but immediately another friend of the program, Sarah Tiana, who was on MLB Network, who also one of the best comedians out there, immediately responds, at Zac Gallen.
Well, I'm honored. I met Sarah last year at the All MLB Awards. She was.
You must have left quite an impression. I don't know what you were wearing.
I don't know. I guess I don't know. We had done. We were doing a thing with Roy Wood Jr. and she was there, kind of helping him, throw a couple one-liners in there, and then was helping me with some stuff to kind of say. So we got to kind of hang out for a little bit, and then I met her husband and her son at the dinner the following night with my girlfriend there, and the family's great. She's awesome. She's funny. So thanks, Sarah.
So hey, well, there you go. But I have to does that? I would imagine if you're in the conversation, you probably are in the conversation, right? And you probably take some element of pride in wearing good stuff.
I try to, at least. That's how I've kind of always been as a kid. Even as a kid, I cared about what I wore, how you present yourself. I mean, it's your first impression to a lot of people. And then now, just kind of having a little bit of a platform, I guess, to express myself and my style and the way it changes. It's just kind of.
When you did the All-Star game, this is because the showcase, the draft. I don't mean to go down this road. But
no, you're all good.
Yeah, but this is where you can define yourself on the All-Star game, right? And I can't remember. I apologize. I can't remember what you wore. I won't remember what people wore this year. I remember how Pete Alonso wore all black in 130 degrees. I remember Jaron Duran wearing this tangerine suit. I remember Adley Rutschman wearing a pirate outfit. So what did you?
Mine was very low key. I didn't know what. I don't think I'd been to Seattle once before, but it was in September, so I wasn't really sure what the weather was going to be like. I didn't know what it was going to be, and even though it was 75, it still felt like it was 105 there. I guess with the humidity.
Yeah, I remember it was. Yeah.
So I went with a very just kind of low key. I wore dress slacks, a white button down, and a sweater, a blue Gucci sweater on top. So it was very school teacher, I guess. I don't know. I was going for a very clean, old money kind of just classic. I didn't want to do anything too crazy, and I didn't want to wear a suit. So I went and kind of split the difference of all right, I'll still wear a collared shirt, but I'll throw some kind of extra. Whatever. In
so there. When people if someone came up and say, "What are you wearing?" you would say Costco.
I have before. I've said that, but people have asked me and they're like, "Where do you shop?" Probably 4 or 5 years ago, I'd be like, "Oh, I shop strictly at Marshalls and TJ Maxx." I haven't been there much lately, but for a while, half my closet was Marshall and TJ Maxx. When you're in the minor leagues, you've got to ball on a budget, so you got to figure it out somehow.
Yeah, listen. And also if you get in on it early enough. Listen, sponsors are sponsors, man.
That's right. Yeah.
There's brands to be dominated.
This is true. There's a space for everybody. So I was just I got no shame in being in, TJ Maxx. I'm a bargain hunter, so I'm looking for deals. So that was me. Now, I don't the time of going to TJ Maxx and Marshalls and looking through every rack, I've kind of been like, I'll just shop online. Like, but yeah, back in the day, I was grinding. Like, yeah, I still have a lot of the jeans that I bought from Marshalls.
Do you really?
Oh yeah. Like, I mean, I probably have gotten rid of some of them in the last like year or so, just trying to like purge my closet. But yeah, I had a lot of them for a good 6-7 years. Like, yeah.
Well, first off, like you said, sponsors are sponsors.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're looking for sponsors. We're here to help.
Always.
Okay. All right. Well, we got James Paxton the maple syrup ambassadorship for Vermont.
Yeah.
We make dreams happen. And also, speaking of clothing, like I just talked to Rich Hill, who's making his comeback, and he's 44 years old, walking into 20-year-old 22.
Yeah.
And he's like, I said, yeah, you got to do like the hey fellow kids with a skateboard. He's like, nah, I got like the tucked in polo shirt and the
yeah.
So let me ask. So before I get to the nuts and bolts of baseball, who is your pick? Who is since you are now officially in the vortex of MLB Fitz and Saratiana
For best dressed?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna see if I could pull an underrated one out of the hat. I'll give my flowers to Lindor and Harper. I think they're usually pretty spot on what they do. I want to see if I could an underrated guy that doesn't get a lot of. Oh man.
You know what a big part of it, I think it's trying without trying.
That's true. Like
you know who was good that way? We just saw. I don't know if you know Dom Smith.
I didn't really see any of his outfits. When you're not trying, when you just like put it together and like you just have an eye for like, okay, this is just very like that's kind of like what I want to do. I want it to be like very just understated, but then when you take a look at it, you're like, oh, okay, it actually looks pretty good. Like it's not.
Yeah.
But like adding too much the like crazy stuff is just not me. I don't know.
You're trying to think of a non-teammate. I know you are.
Yeah, I'm
right?
trying to think of a non-teammate because I see those guys all the time. So it's like, I will say like, teammate though, I think Merrill Kelly's got pretty like good style.
Really?
And his style's playing right now. Like he was always in the oversized. Like that was his thing, and now that the oversized trend is coming back, he's fit right in. He's got so.
You can say him.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Mert. Yeah, I'll say
right.
Mert. Yeah.
You know, one of the things I noticed hanging out here is that you guys. I don't know if I haven't seen a lot of teams do this. You guys have like these sweatsuits.
Yeah.
Do you do that for road games?
We've been doing that since I got here.
I mean,
I
apologize. This is probably like a storyline. It's like we're talking about, but I'm like, so I coach high school basketball, and I thought like the biggest game changer, like, hey, listen, we got to all look the same, but you don't usually see it.
Yeah, so they've been doing it even before I got here. So this is, coming on close to 10
Tory
years.
Thing?
I think it's Tory, Hayes, just kind of like, you got to think, you're on the plane all the time. Like, there's no sense in wearing, like, very uncomfortable clothes, especially about to do a cross-country flight. So we have two different jumpsuits. I think a lot of other teams, like, I don't want to say a lot, but I've seen some other teams wear them, and it's like, it's just comfortable. Like, and we'll pick, like, for instance, on this road trip, we'll do, I think we wore, like, a sweatsuit to the first city, and then from Tampa to Miami, we wore, like, jeans and a collared shirt, like, and then on the way home, we'll wear. So, yeah, it's cool that, you don't have to, like, dress up and be uncomfortable for a 4 hour.
Has anyone worn it out?
I'm sure they have. Yeah, I'm sure they have. You always see like somebody will like forget it and like they'll wear jeans and like a t-shirt or jeans and a collared shirt, and you're like, oh, I left it at home. And you're like, mine always stays in my bag. Take it out, wash it, and then put it right back in the bag.
It's a quality, like, I don't even call it. What do you call it? Sweatsuit? Like, so,
yeah, it's like a tracksuit. Just a Nike tracksuit.
Anyway,
yeah.
Congratulations. I think this is the sole reason why you guys are so good. You think outside the box.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk some baseball. So we, there's a couple things I want to talk to you about. You pitched a lot of innings last year, over 240, and I like talking about. I think that one of the most underrated stats for position players is games played. I do, because it shows the ability to actually be good enough to play and then play every day. And the grind of this season isn't like it was back in the day. It just isn't. then to pitcher's money, you just don't see pitchers pitch over 240 innings overall. I think that's a testament to you, and I think that guys are chasing it. Like I talk to guys, pitchers who are trying to crack through that barrier. For you, having done it, having gone through that gauntlet, now looking back, what would you say to pitchers? Because it seems like a lot in this day and age. And also, like, when we see a lot of pitchers get to 140, 150, they get sort of hit the wall. Because, again, in the minor leagues, you aren't doing this. So what would you say to people?
I mean, the one thing that I've noticed about the, like, stamina of it, like, just, like, to your point of hitting the wall, there's no way to train or practice for it other than just doing it.
Really?
Like, yeah, that's so, like, I remember, so my first year of pro ball, I had gone, 3 levels, and it comes about the All-Star break in like July or whatever, and I get a call from one of the guys at my agency. He's like, "How you feeling?" I'm like, "I feel great. Like I never felt, better in my career." It was probably at, I don't know, 90 to 100 innings, something like that. Sure enough, the next week my legs felt like just cement blocks, and I'm like, he said on the phone, he said, "Just wait."
Oh, really?
Get there. You just wait. I'm like, all right. So I didn't think it was going to happen. So middle of July, it hits me. I'm like grinding for the last month and a half or whatever it is. Then the following year, I'm like, all right, this will be the year I'll feel good all the way through the stretch. Middle of August, it gets me, and I'm like, I can't. There's nothing I can do. Not until I had gone 2, maybe 3 years the following year of like throwing a full season's worth was I like, okay, I'm good by like the end of September. And then last year being the playoffs was different. I think, the playoffs you're just kind of running on adrenaline, but like, yeah, I don't think there's any amount of conditioning, running, whatever, lifting that like can prepare you to do it other than just doing it. So
did you have in last year I would imagine that you went to stem to stern, like, and beginning to end, because of how they used to do it really was, we know this is going to be a long season, we're going to build in a break.
No, I went the whole,
yeah,
it's from spring training. I started spring training a little bit later, like probably didn't get on the mound until like the first or second week of March, but or in a game, I should say. But yeah, like start to finish, like no breaks.
So when you get to October, like you said, you're running on adrenaline. That's another thing that advice for people, because I think that everyone focuses on 200 innings. Yeah. Well, if you get to the postseason,
you're looking at another. If you go to the World Series, I think I threw an extra 30-something innings, 33 innings.
So looking back, how did that feel? Like, you can look back at it now.
Yeah, I felt good. That was the thing. Like, people would kind of ask me after the whole run had happened, and they're like, "How you feeling?" And my first thing was I was like more mentally exhausted than physically exhausted, because even when you're not pitching, you're on edge every pitch. Like, you're watching.
Well, that's
the game,
thing.
So
every
pitch,
pitch,
like, it doesn't matter. Even when I would like try and take a break from the game, like if the day I wasn't pitching, and go inside, like you're still watching the TV and you're on edge. So it's like people were asking me, "How you feeling?" I'm like, I'm mentally, like, you get more exhausted. And then probably about 3 or 4 days after the last game of the World Series, it all hit me like physically, and then I was like on the couch for like 2 days, like I was just exhausted. So it was like,
oh really?
Yeah, I was I couldn't get up. People were like, "You want to golf and do it?" I'm like, I'm out for like 2 days. Like, you got to give it. So but I felt great. Outside of feeling, my delivery wasn't in a spot where I wanted it to be, but like physically, I was like, I feel good, and like I feel good. I can go out there. Like I didn't feel like I threw 210 innings.
Did it hit? Like you said, there's nothing really you can do to prepare like for that, right? Mm-hmm. Mentally, though, there's probably nothing you can do with that too. And I would imagine like the hyper focus. I love postseason baseball. Yeah. I love watching you guys last year. It's because every single pitch is like, this is the great thing about baseball, right?
Yeah.
We can talk about every single pitch, and then here goes another one. And for you, that's hyper focus. So was it what you thought it would be, or like, I don't even know what?
Yeah, for sure. It's definitely what I imagined. It's hard. You, as a kid, you grow up and you think about the World Series. You think about all these things, but like the finer details you don't know because you haven't experienced them. But like, I think the one thing that helped us was like down the stretch, we had to play like it was October for the last 6 weeks, like, because we had dug ourselves such a deep hole, like with our collapse in July and August was like, okay, well we gotta get going now. So like at that point it was like every pitch had mattered for 6 weeks up until once we got to the playoffs. Like, okay, we've been playing like this for the last 6 to 8 weeks, so like what's different other than we're just playing a new opponent, and the venue's changed and there's a little bit more on the line, but like our mentality was very similar from, I would say, August like 10th.
Yeah, I looked it up.
Yeah.
The thing is that so from August 25th, which, as we tape this is when this is, it's not like you guys like had like unbelievable run. I think you were just over 500. But at the same time, you had come out from that 9-game losing streak, right? And just to keep your head above water, that you had to have that mentality.
Exactly.
Right?
Like we knew our backs were against the wall, but we knew that we had left ourselves just enough room that like if we played like we were capable of and how we played the first 100 games of the year, we would be fine. I mean, thankfully we got a little bit of help at the end. A couple teams lost and we kind of backed our way in there, but like that was the thing. Like we knew we were a young team. Probably we hit the wall after game, I don't know, 100, 105, and then next thing you know, you're like, oh man, we got our backs against the wall. Like we got to see what happens. But we knew in the back of our mind was like, we're still a good baseball team, and we added pieces. You had a closer like Paul, you had Tommy Pham, so like we got better at the deadline. It was like, we just need to keep our head above water and just give ourselves just enough room to kind of get in there, because we knew we could do what happened.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the thing. You guys are like the shot. This is, believe me, the name Diamondbacks have come up a million times at the trade deadline because, like, oh, look, if you're in it and you get in, this can happen. Yeah. And this is the world of baseball right now.
Yeah.
So for you guys, for what will forever be that thing, which is a great thing. It's
good. I mean, I think it's great for for baseball. I mean, obviously, you get more teams trying to compete, and you just you see what happens. Like, I mean, I wouldn't have imagined it to happen the way that it did, but like, yeah, I mean, you just need a shot to get in, and next thing you know, you could be playing in the World Series, and you were at one point in time 2 games under 500 with 50 games to play, awesome. 40 games to play. So yeah,
so Hayes came on the podcast a couple weeks ago, and I gave him the gift of telling him that you guys are going to win the World Series. So thank you. You're welcome.
All right, thanks.
I mean, thank you. You're welcome.
I'll come find you in November.
I get stories. And ask Hazen, say, how often is Rob Bradford right? And he'll tell you some stories.
All right, I'll ask him. When I see him today, I'll ask him.
Yeah, ask him that. And look at his right wrist and see what's on it.
All right.
It's a baseball's important wristband, and it's not coincidence that as we sit here, since he's worn it, you guys haven't lost. But my question is, so like, how does it feel for you? How does it feel different? Because as we, you guys have the best record since July 1st and best record since the trade deadline, all of that. How does it feel different for you?
I think one, we've just become a deeper, more complete team, just like on paper, or like just on the field. Like you could just see that, like, last year we were running 3 starters out in the playoffs, and we got, a guy won the World Series last year. We had to move into the bullpen. Like, that's how deep we are in the rotation.
Yeah.
And then obviously right now we have some injuries, so like we're not as deep, but like full strength, I mean, we can beat you from both sides of the plate, left or right. But I think the biggest thing is just like the culture of, and we touched a lot on this, like
I remember talking with you about this last year, like getting you guys to believe. Right?
So it just kind of started with like 21 was a horrific year. I mean, we lost 110 games, and it was like I wasn't really sure. Like, I was kind of in this weird spot of like, I was a young guy, but I had been here 3 years now, and me and Merrill were kind of the same thing, and we're like, okay, is the next wave coming? And I remember talking to Hayes and Amiel, and they're like, just give us some time. Like, we got guys coming. They're just a step behind right now. And then you kind of saw at the end of 22, and Torrey kind of challenged us, like, hey, this is we need to build the culture here. Like, that's how you're going to turn this thing into what we hope to be a perennial contender. It's like, it's about culture. So last year we kind of got the right pieces in place, and you could kind of see just the vibe in the clubhouse, the vibe around the team. Like the guys, it was very loose. Guys just joked around. Like a lot of the guys, the younger guys, were familiar with each other, so like they didn't feel like they were coming into a clubhouse unsure of how it was going to be. And then this year, I mean, the front office did a great job of adding guys like Jock and Gino, like guys that fit in the culture, help the culture. And then I think just our experience from last year of knowing that we started off slow this year, we could still achieve our goals. So I think a lot of guys were just like,
and also that you
keep our head
you
above
can go
water.
up against these behemoths, and I've said this before where Torrey before 2023, where it's like I'm like, give me your speech to the team.
Yeah.
It's like let them buy their teams, right?
Yeah.
But like you can say that.
Yeah.
But now it's like, okay, we don't even need that speech anymore.
No,
right?
I think now it's just kind of like I think we understand our identity, like who we are. And what's funny is that it's changed from last year to this year. I mean, last year was a lot of like chaos, like getting on, stealing bases, like doing all that kind of stuff. This year it's not as much, but it's still the same kind of like, let's get on base, let's work tough at bats. And then you got a guy like Gino hitting in the 7-hole that like length, just from a pitcher standpoint, I mean, you're lengthening the lineup all the way to that point, and he's driving runs in. So it's just I think the guys just love being around each other, and it's just a lot of fun. And obviously it helps when you're winning, and everything. Winning's the best perfume, but I mean, even with these guys getting hurt, it's like next man up. So it just, I think it's all just attributed to me for the culture, really.
By the way, you just hit on your next sponsorship. Winning is the best perfume.
Winning is the best perfume.
The cologne for men.
Yeah, winning is
winning.
It's called winning. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! What a great idea.
Yeah.
Oh, the ideas are popping. I love it. All right. Well, I really appreciate you taking a lot of this time.
Thanks for having me.
The last thing, if I could. Peter Gibbs, I don't know. Predictably, he's a big fan of yours for multiple reasons.
Tar Heel.
Yeah. I mean, unless you're a Tar Heel, you immediately get a head start on everybody.
100%. Yeah.
But he was talking about your like attention to detail, preparation, and then how you actually took notes in class at North Carolina. So I mean, I think that's. I want to sing your praises in that regard.
I don't think my notes work too well.
No?
My class notes.
Yeah.
I said to my mom, I said, "Is eligible good for you?" Because I was always a good student in high school. Like but when I got to college, I was like, I don't see this school thing really going anywhere for me. So I said, "Is eligible good?" And she said, "Just make it respectable." And I said, "All right, that's fine."
What a mom!
Yes, just make it respectable. I said. So I wasn't lighting the world on fire, but. That's that. I started taking notes on hitters probably my sophomore year. I think my sophomore year of college.
Every single hitter?
Every hitter I could find video on.
Okay.
So and at that point in time, I mean, you're talking about maybe one game that a guy plays on ESPN3 that somehow against a left-handed pitcher, so it's not even the same. But at that point in time, I had been doing a lot of work at the hitting facility, training facility that I grew up at. So I was tossing, I would toss younger kids balls in the cage and stuff like that, and try to read their swings. So I got really good at reading lower age swings, and the holes kind of played the same even in college. They get a little bit harder to read up here, but. So then I was like, okay, I'm going to read swings, I'm going to watch. I would take notes. I got notes of, Pavin Smith in my notebook, back when he was at Virginia, all these guys. I mean, I got Juan Soto and guys that I saw in the, Gulf Coast League. So, I started taking notes and just kind of carried it through. It was always a thing. I was trying to find any edge that I could, and that was through trying to read swings or take down at bats, charting at bats. And, and then it started, I get to the big leagues and you have all this information at hand, and Dan Herron does a great job for us here, and it's he's putting together stats and numbers and trends and things like that we like to see, and then I kind of do my own and put it together. And
is it actual writing, or is it on?
Yeah, so he'll type his out we'll get a card, and then I'll write mine down
in notebooks. So do you have stacks of notebooks?
So it's changed over the years. So there's been times where I'll do. When I was in Miami, I would look, whatever the algorithm they had that would spit out these numbers, I would just write up sequences that I thought were good sequences for guys. So I would do a 4-pitch sequence, and then I started doing then I would write each like pitch, like where I wanted to throw it to a guy or whatever. Then I started doing like heat maps to myself, and then I'm doing so like now at this point in time I'm just writing it. But yeah, I probably have like 2 or 3 like probably good sized notebooks that are filled like So there's some good stuff in there. Like I went back and looked at one, probably a year ago. I think Nick Pecora had me look through it, and there was some big leaguers in a college.
Really?
Yeah, Juan Soto was in there, Cunha was in there. Like when I played him in the minor leagues.
Oh,
so,
really?
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, listen, you have to have good handwriting. So
I do. I'm very
do you
anal
really?
about my handwriting.
Look at you.
I'm very anal.
Well dressed and good handwriting.
Yes, it's the thing. I don't know. Catholic school. It's probably was a Catholic school, dude.
Well, I appreciate it, and I promise if we do start the Cologne winning, you will get a cut of it.
All right, I appreciate it. Yeah.
Thank you.